All right, welcome back to my basement. Today's project is going to be some work on my electrical panel. I have a Reliance transfer switch that we will be installing. This is a 10 circuit, 50 amp rated switch, and let me get you down off the pedestal there in a minute, and we'll look at this thing a little bit more closely. But first, I want to see where this thing is going to live. It's going to go into my panel on the bottom here, and I think I'm going to put it right there on the wall. It comes with a bit of metal conduit, all this wire, this huge string of wires, and I think it's going to go something like this, maybe up. We'll see. So let me get you down off the tripod. We'll look at this thing closely. All right, so here's a little closer look. Nice little cover. I've already taken the screws out, so this cover plate can come off, but you have 10 circuits. The first two is a tandem breaker, so this is set up for 120, 240. The breakers can all come out. This first circuit is also 30 amp rated, so you could put 30 amp either tandem breaker, double pole breaker, or two individual 30 amp breakers. The first four circuits, these two switches and these two switches also come bonded together with this bar in between, so they function as one. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to take that out. I'm not using this in a 240 arrangement. This is going to be 120 volt only, but to remove that bar, you first have to kind of make room on the end, and then you can just sort of roll it, and you see it starts coming out there, and a lot of threads. Oh, come here. And there we go. So that little bar just goes in that brass bushing, and it sits like that inside the switches, so they operate together. I'm not going to use that. So again, we have all those switches. This is designed to be used with an inlet either here, or you can run some conduit or wire off of it and do a flanged inlet on the side of your structure like I have outside. I'll put a picture of that up here if I can. But I've taken the screws out of this so we can get the lid open. And I took the screws out of that so that little cover pops off. And this is where I'm going to put a flanged inlet. It doesn't come with that, but I have procured one. Good brand. Wink, wink, if you know me. So that's L1430. That's a 30 amp, 120, 240 volt twist lock. It will sit right down in there, and that's where I will connect my plug from the AC300. And so I have gone through my panel and identified the circuits that I want on this transfer switch, and I do need to make a modification to it. I need to switch out these two breakers with, these two breakers. They're currently 15 amps. I need to switch them out to 20 amp breakers. And it's very easily done on this thing. It works just like a regular home panel. These breakers tilt out. They're push-in breakers. So I'm going to do that. I need this one and this one. I will first take off with my square drive the output wire. pull that guy out. I have two 20 amp breakers here. I'll snap that in. Retrue that up. And run it down. I will repeat with the second one. I'm putting in Eaton breakers. But this thing takes your standard 1-inch circuit breaker. It comes with Siemens installed. Double check the Torx. All right, so I have over there on the wall looked at where I'm going to put it, and it comes with a 90-degree connector here on the bottom. In the interest of having it sit a little higher on the wall, I'm going to replace that 90-degree connector that would, put the piping out like that. I'm going to replace it with the straight connector that they did include. So you do have that option. So we have all this mess of wire. All right, we're back. That was a bit of a challenge, and nobody wanted to see me struggle for 10 minutes with it, but I got the 90 cut off, taken off here, replaced with the straight. I threaded all this cabling through there. It really wants to braid itself up and get caught up. If you can keep it straight, keep it combed out, it is definitely the way to go. I have figured out where on the wall I'm going to put this. I'm going to take the lid off, the little flappy lid here. It does come off. It just sort of pops in. There we go. Get that out of the way. Now we can see better. So I'm going to reposition things, and we're going to go over to the wall and hold this up. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. It's going to go kind of right here and into my panel like that. Back underneath there. They give you some mounting holes at the top to surface mount it to something, as well as some through holes here. But I noticed there are also holes in the side, and this gap is about exactly a 2x4 on either side. I think I'd like to do that to preserve some air gap between this insulation and the concrete wall behind it. So I'll be back in a minute, and we'll see what we can do with that. Okay, I've cut some 2x4s. I have marked on here where I'm going to put everything. So let's try that. Yeah, I think I like that. That'll work. So I will screw in to the sides. I'll have to drop the breakers out to get these upper holes. And let's do that. All right, that concludes this part of this. Next, I'm going to go to the panel. Let me take that cover off. All right, so here's the inside of my main panel. I'm going to come through this knockout down here, which I admit I did a little pre-work. I located that, knocked it out. I also drilled a hole through this stud after I held everything up in the little pause break while I was doing this. I knocked up through there and knocked over. So we're gonna send this wire around the back. Yeah, that looks about right. Okay. They give us the other end elbow in the kit here, so I'm going to throw that in. Yep, that will match up nicely. And I think for this challenge, I will take all the wires apart. So I don't have to feed them all together. All right, let me show you the technique that I've worked on. The wire really wants to braid itself, and when it's all braided together, it can't make this super tight bend. So I started at the very top, the top of the stack, and I'm working my way down one at a time and feeding them through, trying to make sure that they all go through smoothly and are not crossed up. This is the biggest one in the whole thing, this big fat neutral. So we're just doing that very carefully. I've got a few left to go. I'll come back when I'm done. All right, that was a challenge. I've got them all up through there. I've got the cap on. While I was off camera, I separated them all out and unbraided them in here. Separated them out into their matching pairs. There's a black and a red. The black is what connects to your existing line that goes out into the house. The red replaces it on the breaker. So I've separated them out, zip tied them together. It'll make it a little bit easier. But what I'm going to do next is hook up the master ground and neutral. I'm going to cut these to length. The ground bar's over here. So I will, let me grab the camera and we'll move around a little bit. All right, those are on. We're ready to start wiring up individual circuits. That will involve stripping these back. You can see on the individual breakers here, I have gone and pre-marked them with the circuit they will go to, so it's just going to be a matter of finding the matching letter code here to the breaker, stripping them back, putting the red on the breaker, connecting the existing wire to the black. I'm going to do that with Wago connectors. And let me reposition, and I'll put you on time lapse, and we'll get that done. Up to this point, the panel has been hot. I've only been in the bottom section here, not near any conductors. For the tie-in, I will be turning the main off. I've got some lights in here powered by the Bluetti. I've got my headlamp. So now we'll do the fast forward and get to it. All right, I'm just going to cut this off and continue on. All right, that's everything wired in. Let me throw the main back on, and we'll see if everything comes back to life. I had previously set all these switches to off, so I will set them all. That one's the basement lights. All right, we have normal power resumed. Check out this rat's nest here. I'm going to tidy that up, get the panel cover back on, and then we will look at putting the flanged inlet on this and tucking this together. Okay, here we're back at the panel. I've got it as tidied up as I think I can. I mean, a lot of spaghetti, but the cover goes on. Not too bad. We will reposition. I'll get the cover on. We'll reposition and go to this. All right, this might be a little bit awkward. It's tight space, and they don't give you a whole lot of room on these, but I've got my L1430 mounted on the panel. The back of it has indicated, if we can get the angle right, there we go. The back of it, X, Y, W, and G. So I've always been taught that you put black on X, red on Y. Ultimately it doesn't matter though. W is white and green is ground. And you must also ground to the ground screw they give you in the can here, but they don't give you, there's no lead pre-attached. So I've taken the extra bit of ground I cut off in the panel and stripped back a bit for that. So let me see if I can get the angle over here a little bit better. And we'll start making this up. All right, and there we go. Flanged inlet's in, everything's done there. I'll put the lid back on. I need to print some labels for these, but let's try it. I have over behind me an adapter cable. Okay, I'm back. I had a second thought. Since the AC300 and all Bluetti products and all portable generators have a floating neutral, I thought it a good precaution to turn off the output, because when I connect it here, it will be bonding the neutral and ground. So I turned off the output, I connected my L1430, I connected my TT30 adapter. I am probably going to hook up, make some sort of hook here as a strain relief, or I might even redo this and just come straight out of the bottom with a cord to eliminate all the dangling out the front here. But everything is hooked up, the AC30 is powered up. Let's see if we can transfer some things to it. Again, I'm going to put labels here, but we're not there yet. Let's first start with the basement. Will the light stay on? That is circuit G. I will move it from line to off and back to line, or back to generator. Yep, that came on. So let's also switch. I'm going to do kitchen countertop. I'm going to do refrigerator. I'm going to do laundry and garage. And I'm going to do furnace. All right, all those loads should be running on the AC300. The whole point of installing this Reliance transfer switch is to be able to put the power generated from the AC300 to better use. Since my original videos on it, I've upgraded it to 1600 watts of panels. That's double the 800 it had before. And I've been trying to figure out what to do with the power. In the morning it charges up, it's fully charged by 11, 12 o'clock, and then just sits there full the rest of the day. And I want to try to figure out how to distribute that through the rest of my house. And this is it. Hopefully it works well. I'll report back. Thanks for watching.